Hey guys, thank y'all for coming. I'm Carissa, y'all know me already. Today we're going to talk about how to change a fuel filter. But first, before we even talk about how to replace your fuel filter, I'm going to ask you guys to share an embarrassing car story. Who here has an embarrassing car story to tell me?
I do.
Okay, what you got?
I drove on the wrong side of the road because one side was too wide. And I didn't see the median in the middle.
You didn't see
Yeah.
the median in the middle?
I didn't. It didn't have reflectors or anything. It was dark in the area I was in. Yeah, terrible. I didn't know where I was. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have an embarrassing car story?
Oh man, there's a lot. Uh, First of all, my car door don't work. I don't know why it don't work. It just quit working. My window, it won't go all the way up. My
So,
car's falling apart.
is this all on the same door?
Yeah, on the same side.
Oh wow. Okay. That's an embarrassing car story. I have several, but I'll just share one. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I have one more.
Okay.
I put the oil where the water is supposed to go for the air. In my car, air doesn't work, so I had to ride in heat for like a year.
No.
It's true. Didn't know. First time.
Wow.
That's
Did you get that all taken care of?
she really
I
did.
did it. I did
Okay.
it.
That's
I wrecked that car.
okay. That's definitely an embarrassing car story. I was gonna tell you one, but I don't think mine can top that. But I'll tell you mine anyway. I just bought a brand new Camaro. I was riding down the street and I was first one at the intersection. When the light turned green, car just rolled into the intersection and died.
Oh,
And everybody was honking at me, trying to pass me. I was highly embarrassed, and the car wouldn't go, and I was there for over an hour waiting for a tow truck, and cops had to come out. It was a pretty bad situation, and I had just bought the car, so I wasn't too familiar with it, how it worked. So that's my most embarrassing car story, and it was the alternator that went out while I was driving. So yeah, that's my car story. But today I'm going to show you guys how to replace your fuel filter. And what the fuel filter does, we'll talk about that. This is the demo car we're going to do it on. It's my 1998 Mustang GT. Um, if you know me, you know I've done a lot to this car, and it's not exactly the best car, but it's the perfect project car. Anything and everything has broken on this car, and luckily enough for this presentation, I was able to put a fuel filter on there because it needed to be done anyway. Um, So, what is a fuel filter? A fuel filter is exactly what it says. It's a filter, and it filters out dirt and particles that can get in your car. And the way the dirt and particles get into your engine or your car is through your gasoline. If you ever go to, like, let's say a racetrack and their gas is like 10, 15 cents cheaper than Chevron, the reason being is they may not filter out their gas as well as Chevron does. So you might be picking up particles if you're, buying the cheap gasoline. Then there's a very good chance you'll have a lot of junk in there and particles and just the bad things in there like dirt and whatever that gets into their tanks that they don't necessarily clean out. Now, if you go to Chevron or Exxon and it's like the gas that's a lot more expensive, it's also better for your car. So the fuel filter is what keeps that stuff from getting into your engine. So where is your fuel filter located? Well, every make and model has a different location for their fuel filter. Some cars it's in the front in the engine compartment, so if you pop your hood, sometimes if you look hard enough you can see it. Um, in other cars it could be in the back, right underneath the gas tank, so you're not going to see it. You're going to have to crawl under the car to get to it. Luckily in my case, mine is under the gas tank and you got to crawl under the car to get to it. Okay? But if you're not sure where it's at, you can probably Google it, or you can check your owner's manual, or call your local dealer to find out. So how do you know when it needs to be replaced? There's a few symptoms you'll have. Okay. Now, if you go to start your car and it idles really rough, meaning it starts really rough, more than normal, then it could be that fuel's not getting into your fuel line to get to your engine, and your car's having a hard time getting the gasoline in it. Okay. Hesitation when starting. Let's say you go to turn your key and it's like it doesn't want to start, and then it kicks in a few seconds later. That could be because gasoline's not getting to your fuel line to get to your engine. Or let's say your car starts fine, it's just when you're trying to take off, your car's having a hard time. Slow acceleration. And that's my symptom on my car. That's how I knew my fuel filter was going out. I'd be driving, trying to get on the highway, and trying to merge into the lane, and my car is just sputtering and struggling, like gas isn't getting into it. And I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. Engine stall. Sometimes if your fuel filter is clogged up enough, no gasoline will get to it at all. So your engine will stall out and just die. And it can happen while you're driving. It can happen when you just let the car run and sit. So when your engine starts stalling because of your fuel filter, that means your filter really needs to be replaced because it's that clogged up. And also, sometimes the car just won't start, period, because it's just to that point. Now, you should also keep in mind that once you do change it out, keep up with your mileage, because they recommend that you change your filter every 30 to 40,000 miles. Okay? In my case, I'll probably do it every 30,000 miles just to be safe. So now what? Once you know for sure that your fuel filter needs replaced, there's a few places you can go. You can go to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Pep Boys, Napa, CarQuest, any AutoZone store or auto parts store, and tell them what you're looking for, and they can look it up and tell you that they have it or they can get it for you. You can even go to your dealer, but your dealer might charge you a higher price, so I wouldn't really recommend that. That'd be like a last resort if you didn't have an auto parts store next to you or no one else had it in stock. So how much does a fuel filter cost? Some fuel filters, I mean, they're fairly cheap generally. You're not gonna spend $100 on a fuel filter. On mine, it was only $10. I went to AutoZone expecting to pay about $100 because everything else I've had to fix in this car has been about that much. And he was like $9.99. I was like, I'll take it, And that's like with a warranty and everything. So that was really good. But everyone's going to be different. It pretty much depends on the size of your car, the make and model, the year, and everything. So that's something to take into consideration. So let's say you're not sure about this and you're thinking you might want to just take it to the dealer and have them deal with it because you're not familiar with cars. You don't have to be familiar with cars to change out your fuel filter. Matter of fact, I could probably show my mom how to do it and she can do it, believe it or not. Like, it's that simple of a process. So before you do consider taking it to the dealer, there's a few things you need to think about. A dealership or mechanic shop, they'll charge you by the rate or by the hour. Okay? And usually their hourly rate generally is about 60 to 70. I've seen some as high as $100 an hour. Okay? Now, changing out fuel filters is usually less than an hour to do. Well, they have a minimum rate they'll charge you. If you go to any dealership or any mechanic shop, if something takes less than an hour, since they charge by the hour, there's a minimum rate. And usually that minimum rate is either 30 minutes or an hour. So if something took 5 minutes to do, they're still going to charge you for an hour or 30 minutes. They still have to make money. It's a business. And they can charge you a higher price for the part. So if you can go to AutoZone and pick it up for $10 and you take it to them to install it, they might say, well, no, we can't do that. We have to order it ourselves, even though they're ordering it from AutoZone too, and AutoZone's going to deliver it. So now they're going to charge you even more because they had to go through the trouble of ordering it. So those are just things to take into consideration if you do decide you want to take it to a dealership or a mechanic shop. So you don't want to do that, and you do want to do it yourself. Okay, well, let me show you what you need. You're going to need a new fuel filter for one. So you're going to go to one of those car places I mentioned, and you're going to go buy your new fuel filter. And depending on your car, you might need a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips screwdriver. It really depends. And I highly recommend grabbing some old towels. I use old T-shirts that I don't wear anymore because you're going to need that to pick up the spill of gasoline. Okay? It's not going to be a lot, so nothing to really worry about, but there will be some gas leaks. And you're going to need a fuel line disconnect tool. You can get that when you buy your fuel filter, and it's either a little itty bitty tool like this and it opens up like scissors, or it's a real big one and opens up like scissors. And they're usually just a few bucks, depending on what size you need. Okay, so how long does it take to change a fuel filter? If everything goes right and you got all the tools you need, it could take 5 minutes. It could take 10. For my car, it should take about 20 minutes. It pretty much depends on where it's at on your car. If it's in the back, it's going to take you a little bit longer than if it's in the front. But then again, if it's in the front, if it's on top of the engine or somewhere reachable, accessible, then it'll take you a few minutes. But if it's like underneath the engine and you're going to have to get under the car, then it could take you a little bit longer. But overall, overall about 20 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Within a 5 to 10 year lifespan, how many times would you need to change this?
It
Because the
depends.
majority of us get cheap gas. We're always looking for cheap gas.
That's a good question. It pretty much depends on what gas you use and also how much you're driving. Most people put 15 to 20,000 miles on their car a year, and they recommend you change it every 30 to 40,000 miles. So you're looking at anywhere between from 1 year to 2 years of changing out your fuel filter. It pretty much depends on how often you drive. So that's why I say if you have a car and you want to keep up with your maintenance, you're going to get a book or something and just keep up with your mileage. And but at 100,000 miles, I changed out my fuel filters. That way, when you look at your odometer and you're at 130,000 miles, then you know that it's time to change that fuel filter again, regardless of what gas you've been using. So that's the best way to do it, is just keep up and do it by mileage. Okay, so now you're ready. Here's some tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a jack, preferably a 2-ton jack, because that'll give you at least 4,000 pound capacity. Most cars don't weigh that much unless you got a big truck or something. You're going to need jack stands to go with the jack. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver. Gloves are optional. I recommend them. And you're going to need a fuel filter, and you're going to need the old rags. Okay. I would also suggest safety goggles. These aren't your average ones. These are some pretty cool ones, but the average ones with the elastic go over your head, those work fine. And the reason why I suggest them, because I didn't have them when I did mine. Unfortunately, I'd forgotten them. But when you're underneath the car, you're going to get dirt and contaminants that fall off of your fuel lines as you're messing with it. And when that gets into your eye, it's pretty painful. So here, I'll let y'all feel those. They look like shades, but they're actual safety goggles. And you'll also need your disconnect tool. Some cars you can use a plier. It just pretty much depends on what you'll need. And that's when I suggest that you look at your owner's manual or even call your local dealer. Okay, first step, and keep in mind we're doing this on a 98 Mustang GT. So your car might have a few different parts, but most cars it's the same process. You're going to unplug the inertia switch. And this is found in the trunk. When you open up the trunk and there's carpet, you pull that carpet back and there's switches in there. You get your flathead screwdriver, put it in between the switch, and just pull it right out. It plugs in, it plugs out. So you pull that plug out, and what that does, that shuts off your fuel pump, and you can release your fuel pressure that way. Second, you're going to want to get your jack and your jack stands, and you're going to jack up the car. Okay? If you're not sure how to do that, it's best if you have 2 people. That way you can have some help jacking up the car. But if not, you should be able to do it alone as long as you have the jack and the 2 jack stands. Release the fuel pressure. Sounds technical, but it's really not. It's just opening up your gas cap. You know, just like you're about to put gas in your car and you just twist that cap off, that's the same thing here. So you're going to open up your gas cap, take it off, and what that does, that relieves the pressure from the fuel lines. So when you're down there, or up there, depending on your car, when you disconnect the fuel lines, you don't have gasoline running all over you. Okay? Now you're going to want to disconnect the fuel lines. This right here is the fuel filter, which I got it right here and I'm going to show it to you. And if you see these 2 lines right here that come out at each end, those are your fuel lines.